Hello, I'm William Gallagher and this is 58 Keys, which half the time is for all writers. See the new workshop videos released every Monday, and all of the time, every time, as ever, for always, is for writers like you and me who use and who write on Macs, on iPhones and iPads. Do subscribe because we have so much to talk about, even when you might reasonably think, no, we don't. This one is about video editing, which does not involve writing. Look at the quality of information. But I can give you a rationale, okay, which is that all of your writing skills, okay, of your pacing, of rhythm, of everything you know about how much and how little you need to write to convey something, that is all needed in video editing. And I can give you a justification in it, in that being able to make videos to promote your writing or any of your work at all is very useful. But really, I can just give you this. Video editing is immensely satisfying, entertaining, absorbing. If you don't already do this, I want you to relish it as much as I do. So, you and I are going to edit. We'll use the new Final Cut Pro 11 because I love it, really. But actually, practically everything will apply to any other video editing app you may have. And you do have one. All iPhones, iPads, and Macs come with iMovie. I have that one, which is actually very good and remarkably similar. But I think you're expecting this, right? You're expecting details of how to cut videos together, and you're going to get it. Except, I said editing is absorbing. I think actually it's too absorbing. If video editing is not to replace writing in your life entirely, you need to be disciplined. I'm not a writer who actually likes outlining. I'm a pantser. But after a couple of 58 Keys videos, I have learned that a bit of pretty boring planning goes the most enormously long way. So, I mentioned the 58 Keys writing workshop videos that go out on this channel on Mondays. Let's you and I make one of those. Actually, I should explain this. I've chosen this for us because, obviously I hope the 58 Keys writing workshop videos are good and are useful. I know that they are easy to make because I went to lengths to make sure that they were. To get them done in the time, really. For instance, every one of them is filmed here in this shed. I required these new videos to look immediately visually different to the regular 58 Keys ones. And setting them here instead of in my home office does that. It does it right away. It's not like I expect anyone to care where something is shot, but I need them to unconsciously recognize the workshop ones are different to the rest. Okay, I know this is about shooting, getting footage together. I'm not going to dwell on the equipment. I'll put a list, tell you what, in the description, a list of what I use in case it's useful. But the key things are, I'm using my iPhone 16 Pro Max on a tripod. It's actually facing screen forward so that I can quickly see when I'm in frame and when I'm not. I would rather not do that, actually. I would rather film using the back cameras. And it is possible, I have done it. I'm intending to check into it more, actually, after you and I are done. But for now, to show you this for speed for me, it's front camera, screen on, iPhone on tripod, boom. I'm also wearing a wireless mic. It plugs into the iPhone here. And I've got a little light on a second tripod. Setting up the camera, right, and the light and the shed, really, it's not like it takes long, but it does take a little time. I also find it, oddly daunting. I think perhaps because I still feel a bit silly filming myself. Truly, I present these videos to you because I am available and I'm cheap. But getting over that, getting the camera and the tripods and the lights set up, it has had to, I'm only telling you this, it's actually quite an option to just get started. When I have set up everything once, I then film at least 2 videos back to back in the video workshop stuff. If I've got time to do a month's worth, 4 of them, great. That's 4 videos with just one setup and one takedown at the end. But I can't have you thinking I wear the same clothes 4 weeks in a row. I tend to limit it to about 10 days. So I will actually write myself a call sheet that tells me change shirt between certain episodes. So I can do 2 episodes with this jumper or a shirt or something, and then change, and then to do 2 with another one. I know you grasp the concept there, but the thing is, I don't have to show the episodes in the same order I filmed them, so I can appear to be in different outfits each time. Look at the way I dress. I am clearly a fashionista. But I'm also someone who does not want you to be distracted and thrown out of the video by, he's wearing the same stuff again. You could be. All of this is about filming, and actually there's just a tiny bit left to tell you. Starting with how, actually, even when I'm changing shirts or whatever, I don't stop the camera. It runs for the whole time I'm in here, and that means I end up with just one single, very long video at the end. Which also means I need a way to then be able to quickly see which bit of it is for which episode. So I use this. This is Movie Slate 8 iPad. It's a clapperboard. I hold it up to the camera at the start and the end of each episode in a video, and then I film until I can film no more. I said you needed to be boringly organized. I shoot the video on this iPhone 16 Pro Max. I then copy it over to this Lexar external drive, and I name the file carefully. For the workshop videos, right, that's one video file, so it's not like it's a hard job, William, but regular 58 keys episodes, they use a lot more footage. They have a lot more visual elements. You know, if I'm showing you how something works, here's a screenshot of it. I name every individual one. Actually, take a look. This is what the folder of assets, as they're called, for the video you're watching now. And also those folders, by the way, again, for speed, they were all created for me automatically. I just decided that I was going to talk to you about, actually, I was going to do a video about video editing. And then I ran a shortcut. I wrote my shortcut, look to see what is the next 58 keys production number, and then it made all of these folders. Within each of those folders, right, every single thing has a title in the form that I have chosen. Something like SR for screen recordings, BR for B-roll, and a text description that's quite detailed. All of it. Every item I filmed, every image I prepared, I rename whatever the file is to fit that format. There may be fewer, more tedious things to do in this world, but as long as you also do it immediately that you shoot the video or create the image, whatever it is, there actually may not be many more useful things in the world. Yes, slight exaggeration. So useful when you come to edit the video. Right now, this is Final Cut Pro 11, and I choose File, Import, select all of my footage for this video, done. Remember that this example is for the 58 keys writing workshop videos, and they are deliberately made to be very easy to produce, very easy to edit. And one of the things that makes it easier and faster than these regular 58 keys videos is that the workshop videos have a very standard, well, it's not very standard, it's just standard. A standard opening and closing. I have a title sequence, really, that's what I'm saying. So I can now open up a Final Cut Pro project that already has the start and the end in, and there they are on the timeline. Every video editing app I've ever even heard of has this horizontal bar called the timeline, and usually it starts empty, and then you drag some video onto it to work from. You work from that on the video in the timeline. If you haven't already done this yourself, well, still, actually, you can see it, can't you? You can see how straightforward it is. And actually, if you have done this, you'll know different ways to drag or insert footage. Plus, I mean, you'll know the names of things change in different apps, but take this one, for example. When any video is in there, right, you can press play or tap the space bar. The footage gets shown in the preview window, and as it goes along, a cursor here called the playhead moves along the timeline. Wherever that playhead is, that is what you see in the preview. That is the bit of the video that the audience will see when you're done at that moment. The video I filmed here is held in what's called a bin. Not always called that, but known as a bin. I've just had to clear out of old clips, actually, so it's quite empty. But I can, for instance, search the bin for just the video's number, and I get all of the footage. Everything I need in one place immediately. Here's the workshop video with that one single long video with 2 or more episodes, separated only by shots of a clapperboard and maybe a changing shirt. I could because it's one thing, drag the whole thing in timeline in one go, but I could also do this. Find the start of an episode, even just roughly, and press I for in, and then click along to the next episode roughly, and then O for out. You've just marked the in and out of a clip that you want from within this long video. And you can drag that to the timeline. Drag that to the timeline. And actually, in my case, drag it to between the opening and closing titles. Now, I can drag between those two because they are two separate clips. Normally, you would just add clip after clip to the timeline. They're like blocks of video. And you can also take one clip and split it, like I need to here. Actually, no, I do need to do it because I've got the clapperboard, and you shouldn't see that in the final episode. So let's get rid of that. Play the clip, or just click to where the playhead it should be when you want to cut something, and then cut. And now, instead of one clip, I've got two. The first one being the stuff I don't want, the rest being the rest. Delete the stuff I don't want. And I need to do the same at the end to trim off the closing shot of the clapperboard. So again, click to position the playhead, cut, select, delete. I did just mention the word, I said the word trimming. Rather than trying to precisely cut where I can get it roughly right, and then just drag to do it precisely. There are lots of little extras like that to make things more precise. And notice one thing about cutting though, and actually this bit is unique to Final Cut Pro, and it is exceptional, even though people who use other video editing apps for some reason loathe it. Let me just undo this cut, and now watch again what happens to the end sequence when I delete this clip. It moves up by itself. It snaps to the previous clip. Apple calls this the magnetic timeline, and truly, truly, all video editing apps should have this. Because while, I mean, that's a simple example. You could easily, you could be editing a 2-hour movie, you could have hundreds, maybe 1,000 clips easily, and want to remove a few seconds from the opening minute. With Final Cut Pro, you delete that bit you want, everything moves up. With every other app, you have to manually move each subsequent clip. I mean, you select all and you drag, you can make mistakes on it. And this actually becomes more important when your video in the timeline has this. As well as the horizontal timeline you keep working on, you keep looking at, you can stack things up on top of the video. In this case, for example, that line is one of these. It's the regular 58 keys blue animation, and I have placed it on top of the main footage. Anything can go on top. A graphic, a thing. Actually, whenever 58 keys shows you, I don't know, some feature in OmniFocus, what you're doing is seeing that to-do app, because I put the clip onto it, but you're hearing my voice because I'm underneath. The OmniFocus footage goes on top of the main video, just like this. You and I edit by looking horizontally across the timeline, but it's like your audience is looking down vertically. Put something on top and you cover up things. For instance, I despise jump cuts. You know, that's when you're watching someone talk and suddenly it's a few seconds later and they've obviously cut out a swear word or something, I don't know, a few seconds means you can move the next day or whatever. You know a chunk was cut out. In over 250 58 keys videos so far, there is one jump cut and it was a mistake. 1 o'clock in the morning and I missed it. For every other time that I cut out a word or a sentence or 20 minutes of me rambling, every time I do that, I cover the jump with something else, like a screenshot from an app that I'm talking about. And I get that screenshot because I've already planned it, already taken the screenshot, and I know that for this episode, it will be, this episode you're watching here, it'll be in my stills subfolder and it will be labeled. Everything I need immediately to hand because I took the time to label it all. I'm so good, so organised. Timeline, right. Timeline cutting bits, dragging them around too, and also putting clips on top of other ones at the timeline. Really, I think I've been practically mansplaining, but on the other hand, I think actually that's all you need to know. There are lots of shortcuts. You know that trimming thing I mentioned? There are also, there are keystrokes that I wish I'd learned earlier. There are techniques for making things visually interesting that I didn't know, and actually some I still don't. But, timeline, cut, cover, sorted. When I was taught by the UK's piece of string media, one thing that I learned that I particularly want you to know too is that it is a good practice. It works nice to start the audio of something a little early. Look at that 58 keys blue sting again. I actually worry that it comes in a bit too quickly when I haven't finished speaking, but I also know if you see how it goes over the edge of the clip, I know that by design there's at least a syllable of audio from the next thing I'm saying. You hear me before that blue sting is gone, and it's quite deliberate. In this case, in my case, I do that just for a fraction of a second, and the way I do it is just by covering up that moment with the blue sting. You should see me fiddling to it, just where it goes. You can do a lot more though. You can do what are called J and L cuts, which means having the audio from one clip be audible under the previous one, like a kind of J shape like this, or continuing on under the next thing, like an L shape. And what you do is you do that by separating the audio from the video and dragging the ends or extending them one way or the other. You got to be careful that you don't drag the whole audio out of sync with the video. And then there's this. It sounds like a favourite thing to tell you. Every video editing app has transitions and it has effects. You can swipe between clips, for instance, and you do that by dragging a transition to the cut between two of them, between two video clips. Or you can fade out, you can fade in. Or you can add effects to a video, like a filter in, like a filter in Photos. With Final Cut Pro, I also, in a similar way, I need to fix the audio. That shed in particular is quite echoey. So I find the compressor audio filter and I do this. I drag it over and into the clip. And actually, that's the first thing I do before I cut anything, so that I know the sound is the same throughout. And then actually, let's make this the last thing. I suspect that you've noticed that the screen next to me has been showing Final Cut Pro, and specifically the same video that you've been watching. It's being edited while you watch it. It actually took a surprising amount of effort for the 10 seconds that I'm spending telling you about it, but the point is you can replace parts of the video of the screen. Some people, for example, do this by tidying their office once. Yes, not go there. And then making sure they sit very still while you look at only the old and the new tidy footage around them. And others use it, well, actually I'm going to say for effects. Give me a second and I'll show you. Actually, let's leave it with, that'll be the last thing I'll show you. First, let's say that's it for this edition of 58 Keys, a very fast run through video editing. Thank you very much for watching, and also for giving me an excuse to enthuse at you. And thank you particularly to 58 Keys Patreon member Darren, who foolishly asked me about this. And until the next video, yours or mine, take care of yourself, write more, and I'll see you soon. Oh, sorry, I nearly forgot. Energize.